Alright guys, welcome to the first episode of the Dark Souls 3 walkthrough, Indiana Jones style. Again, we're going to be using our fists, whips, crossbows, and katanas, well, Chaos Blade mainly. Now, this walkthrough is not a 100% walkthrough as before. We will get a lot of items, but we're not going to get every item. We're not going to do all the NPC quests. Our main goal is to just get the weapons that we want and get through the game and kill all the bosses. Now in this walkthrough, in order to get some of the items that I want early, like Chaos Blade, I have to go through the fire, which means I'm going to have to go through difficult bosses that aren't intended until the end game. So that means the Dancer, Osiris, and Champion Gunder. But it's very possible at level 20 and 25. I've considered level 25 to be optimal to get through it. So for the first few episodes, I'm just getting ready to fight the Dancer. That means I need to get a couple of undead bone shards. I need to get about 9 Estus swigs. And I need to get my Uchi Katana to raw +4. And I need to have my health at 25. When I get that, then I'm ready to take on the Dancer and get Chaos Blade. And then that's where the journey really begins. Alright, so let's get started with the Indiana Jones walkthrough for Dark Souls 3. Now, for the class, I went back and forth between two classes, the Mercenary and the Thief. I like the Thief for its weapon, but I didn't like the stats that it had compared to the Mercenary. The Mercenary has 16 Dexterity and 10 Strength, which is very close to wielding the first weapon that we need, which is the Uchi Katana. The Thief, however, has the Bandit Knife, which will make the very beginning area a cakewalk. I decided to go with the Mercenary because of the stats. You only need to level up Strength once to wield the Uchi Katana. You would have to level up 5 levels if you went with the Thief. Now for the gift, make sure you pick the Fire Gem, because we're going to infuse the Bandit Knife with fire. Some of the enemies in this game are insanely weak to fire, and it's very beneficial to have it. We start in the Cemetery of Ash, which is your basic tutorial area. Right off the bat here, we just want to kill this first hollow. And off to the right here is your first soul item. We're not going to use our soul items right now. We're just going to save them all up for a rainy day when we need to get something like the key that costs 20,000 souls that we don't want to waste our souls that we want to use leveling. And we're not going to use this next item, which is the Ashen Estus Flask. We're basically not going to use this the entire game, at least from what I am understanding right now. Now we want to come over here, take out these 3 hollows. Now in this next area is your first tough enemy, but he's not really that hard once you get the pattern down, and you can't take many hits from him though. It's basically a Godzilla-like crystal lizard, a crystal lizard on super steroids, I guess. He's off to the right here. Once you hit him about, I'm not sure how many times, 8 or 9 times, he will stagger, and you can riposte him in the mouth, and you'll get a lot of damage. But you just want to get behind him, basically. Locking onto him is a good idea. Now, this weapon that we have does not do bleed. Our Uchi Katana will do bleed, and that's going to be our main weapon for the foreseeable future until we get Chaos Blade and our whip. Our whip is going to be an uber powerful weapon once we get it to where we want it to. It's basically going to be a sharp whip plus 10. And we're going to level our dexterity to 55, and it's going to do an insane amount of damage, and it's going to be able to hit many foes at once. And unlike Dark Souls 2, with the old whip, this sucker will not degrade nearly as fast. But we're still going to use Chaos Blade. We're going to use the Cestus and a couple of crossbows, of course. We're going to get all the whips we can. Now we get this Titanite scale for killing this crystal lizard, but more importantly, even though you can't see it because the NTA Game Guide's icon is in the corner, we get about 4,000 souls, which will give us a nice head start on our leveling. Now, one of our immediate goals is to get 12 Titanite shards and 2 large Titanite shards so that we can level up our Uchi Katana once we get it to +4. We got to have it at +4. 4 is like the minimum I've been able to kill the Dancer and all those enemies with. I tried it with a lower sword, and Yeah, it's possible, but it just makes it a lot easier when it's +4. Here's your first bonfire. Unlike the other games, you can actually rest at a bonfire while you're being invaded, which is nice. And you'll get the rest gesture for resting at the bonfire. Now, our first Titanite shard is coming up. We need to take out this guy so he doesn't interrupt our jump. Some people have trouble with this jump here, and I also like to take these guys out too. They're just sitting here. And this guy. So your jump here, some people have had trouble with it, I've heard, but you have to jump it like this pointy rock right here. You just aim there, and you should have no trouble getting this jump. And that'll be your first Titanite shard of 12. We need to get 12 Titanite shards. Another upgrade material that we're going to need to get 12 of quite quickly is Twinkling Titanite, because we need that to level up the Chaos Blade to +4 as fast as possible. We're not going to be able to get it to +5 right away because we're going to need a slab, and slabs in this game are not easy to get. There's not that many in this game. There's a total, I think, of 15 in the game. I'm not even sure if you can actually farm for them this time. I don't know. I haven't heard about it. But I know there's about 15 in the entire game that you can get. And you make sure to get this firebomb right here, because we're going to trade it to the crows for a large Titanite shard. Now, let's talk about this tutorial boss that we're going to come up on in just a second, called Index Gundyr. Well, the good news is you can parry him. Parrying in this game is king. It's back from Dark Souls 1. In Dark Souls 2, I could not parry, but in Dark Souls 3, I'm okay at it, and I'm going to rely on it to kill not just this boss, but the other version of this guy in the Untended Graves when we go for Chaos Blade. It's pretty much going to make this guy a cakewalk once we can parry him, but we can't parry him without a parrying tool. You can't just use your fists unless you have the cestus, which is what we're going to use, or a shield, which we're not going to be using shields for the most part of this game. Only in this tutorial area we're going to use a shield, because we want to parry Index Gundyr, and we can't do it without a parrying tool. But parrying Index Gundyr is not hard at all. You just got to wait for his weapon to move forward and just get the timing down. It takes a little practice, but you're going to need to practice this guy, the parrying on this guy, if you want to kill him the second time without losing your mind. Parrying is the easiest way to kill him, no doubt about it. And you'll take about 2 or 3 parries here, and then he'll transform into his other form, which after that you just get behind him and start wailing on him. And you just want to bait him into a jump attack that he does. Stay behind him, and just, there's the jump right there. Just keep wailing on this backside. Now, if he faces you like this, try to get behind him again and just wail on his backside. Don't let him face you. Just get behind him. And just wail on him again, and he'll be dead before you know it. Now, if we had the bandit knife, he'd already be dead, because the bandit knife does bleed, and it's very fast, and that's why I was saying starting with it will make this area so easy, especially for the next enemy that we're going to face, called the Master, which we have to kill. We have to kill the Master, because without killing the Master, we can't get our Uchi Katana, and we won't be able to get Chaos Blade later, because he's a prerequisite for getting Chaos Blade. Now we're heading into Firelink Shrine. Now, unlike the first game, this game is not interconnected. It's basically hubs you go into, like separate levels. So, our first order of business in this area is we have to do, like, I guess you can call it a glitch. It's never been patched. Basically, you're going to run up a tree and jump onto a roof. It's not incredibly difficult to do, and I was just trying to plunge attack this guy. I was wasting too much time here. But it's not too hard to do, but it takes a little bit of practice. You're not going to get it on your first attempt, I'm sure, but it's worth doing because you'll get an Estus shard, you'll get the silver covetous ring, and you'll be able to trade with the crows early, which is nice. We'll get a homeward bone here, although homeward bones are going to become irrelevant in this game because very early on, well, in the next few videos, when we get Chaos Blade, basically, we'll be able to get a coiled sword fragment, which is an infinite homeward bone, and you could trade it for a slab, but it's a priceless item in my opinion, because not only is it infinite homeward bone, it's a very fast homeward bone. So if you're in trouble, you can use this thing to get out of trouble quickly. I mean, it takes you quickly. It takes you out of there quickly. So it's not something that I would trade with the crows. Slab be damned, it's not worth it. It's too priceless. We can get a slab later. We're going to be going into the Ashes of Ariandel DLC to get our first Titanite slab. So, and it's not that hard to get either. We can just run to it. But we're going to use that to ascend our sharp whip to +10. And that'll be our first slab that we use up. We're going to keep the Chaos Blade at +4 because our whip is going to be what we're mainly going to use. Now we're at Firelink Shrine. Now we can talk to this NPC on the right here. To get a gesture. Now we need to place the sword fragment in the middle here. The coiled sword fragment. It'll be our main bonfire. Now just like in Dark Souls 2, you can't level up via the bonfire. And also you can burn your undead bone shards. It's just like Sublime Bone Dust from Dark Souls 2. It will strengthen your Estus Flask's potency. Now those thrones up there are the main boss souls that you'll have to place on the thrones. But right now, let's go ahead and go to the Maiden and buy a few items from her that we need to trade with the crows. The first thing is the Prism Stone. We need a Prism Stone to trade with the crows, and we need a large leather shield. We're going to get that. That's 800 souls. Now, I died to the master a few times, so I edited it out. And I found a better way to kill him. Basically, just let him kill himself. You can manipulate him off the ledge quite easily. And this fog here is like, I guess it's a loading thing. You can't always get through right away. Quite annoying. But yeah, the master is this direction. He can kill you very quickly, so do not underestimate him. But the easiest way to kill him is just come over here. On the left, there's this square thing right here. Just stand on it and just kind of get him to come to you. Inch over to the edge, and he'll just kill himself. He's an idiot. He's just like the Dragon Rider from Dark Souls 2. But we have to do the quit out method like we did in Dark Souls 1 and 2 to respawn the item, which is the Uchi Katana. You can use this method too if you need to reset enemy positions or get a crystal lizard to respawn. Now we have the Master's Attire, which is light, and armor in this game, it doesn't really matter, so we're just going to use it for the time being until we can get Indy's garb, which include the Ferris hat, the leather armor, and Miriam's trousers. Now, even though you don't have 11 strength yet, you still have 16 dex, so you can two-wield the Uchi Katana and still use it right now. So we're just going to go ahead and do that, and I don't know where this guy comes from, but he got the jump on me. But the Uchi Katana is going to be the weapon that we use until we get Chaos Blade. Then we're going to ditch it forever. We're going to get it to +4, so we're going to expend just a few materials on it. We're not going to use any chunks on it. Chunks are going to be a valuable resource at the beginning as well. Now, between killing that Godzilla Crystal Lizard, Index Gundyr, and the Master, you should have a good amount of souls right now. So we're going to use them to level up. We're going to level up Strength to 11. And then we're going to put everything else into Vigor. We need our Vigor to be 25, so we need to work on that. We should be able to get it to 18. Now, let's go meet a friend from Dark Souls 1, Andre, our blacksmith. You will need to give him coal instead of embers this time around to do more infusions. And we're going to need a couple of infusions to do certain things we want to do. Now, allotting your Estus Flask is important because we're not going to use the magic. So at this point, we should have our Estus Flask at 4. Now, we'll also come to Andre to increase the amount of Estus that we can use once we have Estus shards, and we're about to go get one right now. But to get it, we have to do a trick. And like I mentioned this before, so you want to go to the very top, and you're going to go up this hill. You'll need a key to open this gate later, but right now we want to run up this tree and jump onto that low roof there. It's not that hard to do. It's going to take some attempts. I'm going to show you a few failed attempts here, and then I'll show you my successful attempt. So we edited it out, and there's my successful attempt. You're going to get to see it again because I make a mistake. I couldn't kill the crystal lizard in time, and I fell off and had to do it all again. So let's go ahead and kill that crystal lizard. Now, early on, we're going to get as much Twinkling Titanite as we possibly can, because once we get Chaos Blade, we want to be able to get it to +4. So, in this area, you can kill a crystal lizard to get a Twinkling Titanite. And we're going to get 2 more Twinkling Titanite by trading with the crows. The Prism Stone and the large shield that we bought are going to go into the crows for Twinkling Titanite. Now, I fail so miserably with this crystal lizard. It's so embarrassing. Like, I had him dead to rights right here, and I don't know what happened. I just had to swing one more time, and it just didn't. When I backed up, and there he goes off the ledge, and I got to do the tree again. But I'm not going to edit it out because I actually did it on my second try this time. So the first attempt was failed, but then the next one I got it. So didn't have to edit this one. But yeah, we're going to trade some items with the crows to get the Twinkling Titanite, and we need to get a large Titanite shard by using the Firebomb. Trade the Firebomb as well. Now, if you trade a Homeward Bone, you'll get a Jester, but I forgot, so it's not that big a deal. But if you want the Jester, you can do that too. But the Firebomb first. I like that you don't have to exit out like in Dark Souls 1. That was a pain in the ass. And now the Prism Stone. And we'll get our second Twinkling Titanite. And then we're going to use the shield. Drop the shield. The large leather shield. And another Twinkling Titanite. And make sure to get this. This is your Estus shard. And you'll need to go to Andre before we head out to the next area to get your Estus to +5. You'll have 5 swigs. Now, make sure to hit this illusionary wall. Come down here for a chest, which will contain the Covetous Silver Ring, which will give you extra souls. To have it this early on is pretty nice. So we're going to equip that. Go ahead and equip that now. And we're going to put our stuff back on. Now, when we go into the next area, our main objective off the bat is to get an NPC freed from prison so he can come back here and be our vendor for us. And then we can buy the bandit knife, which will be our second weapon. And we'll buy the light crossbow from him, which will serve as our projectile weapon for the time being, but we're going to upgrade to something much, much better pretty early on. Now, whatever you do, and I'm just going to make it a habit of just dumping everything. I'm not going to sell the stuff that I did like in Dark Souls 2. It's kind of like an OCD thing. I just want to have everything in the game that I pick up. So from now on, I'm just going to dump everything that I pick up that I'm not going to use into the box. It's just, I'm pretty OCD, guys. Sorry. I'll start editing it out, though, so you don't have to see me do it. Now, we need to go to Andre and make sure we give him the Estus Shard so that we'll have 5 uses of the Estus Flask. Now we're ready to go to the next area. Lothric High Wall. The High Wall of Lothric. Pretty basic area. There's a few things we need to do in here. We need to get 7 Titanite shards. And we need to get the bandit knife. So we got to save a guy from prison. And you'll have to excuse me messing with the sound. I had people sleeping and didn't want to wake them up. So I had to adjust the sound. So, the High Wall of Lothric. our first objective is to get the key to the cell that we need to free the NPC Grey Rat, the thief. Then we can get the bandit knife. Because there's some enemies that we don't want to take on right now that we're going to have to kill called Pus of Man. It was basically what you saw with the second phase of Gundyr. But they have both... There's two of them in this area, and they both contain... they drop Titanite shards. Now, here's your first bonfire. You have two choices. You can go straight ahead and go down those stairs right there, or you can go to the gap in the wall right there and go to the right. That leads to a dead end, so we want to go left anyway. Left is the way to go right now. Now, there are these lantern enemies that you don't want them to see you because they'll alert every enemy in the area. Now, this guy will come at you no matter what, so get ready for him. He'll attack from the right. But stay off to the left here, and don't let the lantern guy see you. He's patrolling right there. If he sees you, like I said, he's going to get all those enemies that are in that next area down them stairs. They'll come at you all at once. It's not fun to deal with all those enemies. There's another lantern guy right here. Just make sure you can usually just charge him and get him before he does anything. Now there's an enemy that is to the right of the stairs right here. You can't see him in your view there, but he's coming. And he's guarding the binoculars. We're not going to need the binoculars because just like in Dark Souls 2, you can double hand your crossbow and you can have a reticule, which makes it very easy and convenient to use the crossbows again. I wish they would have done that in Dark Souls 1. Now you want to drop down here very gingerly and pick up the gold pine resin. This is going to be very important to use later. Don't use it. Save it. Now we're just going to stick to the left of this room and just circle around. This guy here we can backstab. He's just resting on the wall. We'll just sneak up on him. We're just going to go ahead and attack this guy. We're not even going to deal with the third guy. We're just going to drop down the hole. You'll get some more fire bombs. You're going to need some fire bombs coming up too because there's an area where it's full of dogs and big dudes, and we just want to make our life easier using the fire bombs. Now right here, you're going to sprint. You're going to sprint. Ignore all these enemies. Go up this flight of stairs, and you want to get this item right here to the left, and just roll. Hopefully you won't get burned. But you can usually get to the door before anything happens. Now here, we're going to drop down and take out our first mimic. Mimics in this game can one-shot you, just like in Dark Souls 1 and 2. But they're pretty easy to avoid. Locking onto them is a good idea. They have long wind-ups with their grabs. You can see it coming a mile away. And we're going to bleed them out, too, because unlike Dark Souls 2, katanas have innate bleed effect. And bleed is back, baby. It's back in this game, and I love it. It takes about 8 or 9 hits. I'm not sure how many hits, but yeah, there it goes right there, the bleed. And you can take off chunks of bosses' life bars, and we're going to rely on that to kill Dancer. You'll get the deep battle axe there, but we're not going to use it. It does dark damage without scaling, basically. I don't know where this guy come from. He just snuck up on me. Cheeky little bastard. Alright. Now we can get to the bonfire. But right here, there's a Lothric Knight. These enemies are tough, guys. Don't underestimate these guys. We're going to stick to the left here. Kill this guy. And then just stay right here and wait. He will not engage you. As long as you don't go running at him. But we want to wait till he goes about right to that second thing right there. And then we're going to go. You definitely don't want to deal with this guy right now. Now down there is the cell, but we need to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and hit this bonfire now. We're not going to be able to rest at it because this guy always comes up the stairs. There's another firebomb here. Trust me, you're going to want these coming up. Also for the Pus of Man, because, well, it's good for the Pus of Man, but you're not going to have enough That's why we need the fire bandit knife that we got to get the bandit knife first. Now over here, make sure you get the Titanite shard. Now we're going to go to the cell. Make our way to Grey Rat's cell. Well, no. I'm going to show you guys where the cell is. And then we're going to have to come back to it. So if you want, you can kill all these enemies. Or you can just run to the cell. But we can't do anything yet because we don't have the key. These guys drop throwing knives. Nice way to aggro some enemies from a distance. Now these are the big dudes. These big dudes have big axes, and they're not too easy. They're not going to go down too easy right off the bat. They're going to take quite a few hits. But with Uchikatana, we can take them out pretty quick. Now right here, there's a guy. There's an enemy I know that throws fire bombs in this room. But for some reason he wasn't there this time. Maybe that's him. You'll get the mail breaker here. Now Grey Rat's cell is right ahead of us. Unfortunately, we don't have the key yet. So we need the key. He will also give us a blue tearstone ring, which is actually quite useful, unlike in Dark Souls 1. I didn't even use it. I don't even know if it existed in Dark Souls 2. I can't even remember. We didn't even use it. So, but it has saved me so many times in this game. You want to equip that immediately when you get it. So, to get the key, we're going to go this way. We're not going to engage the Pus of Man on the left. Not yet. And there's also a raw gem that we're going to do. We can knock this guy off every time he's trying to climb up. Just thin the ranks a little bit. Now, if you kill one of those enemies that turns into the Pus of Man too quickly, he won't turn into the Pus of Man. But we want him to turn into the Pus of Man so that he will drop the Titanite shard. But right now, we're not going to deal with it. So right now, we just want to go ahead and drop down here and take out this archer because he's annoying. And he will shoot you. He'll follow you and shoot you into the next room. The other one won't, though. So I've decided that this is better not to fight this spear enemy coming up, this Lothric spear enemy. But we want to come in here and get another Titanite shard up these stairs in this next room. The Uchikatana will take out most enemies in 2 hits. Now the Titanite shard there. Now, like I said, we're just going to run past this guy. He will not follow us into the room that we're going to go into, so he will lose aggro at some point. So we just don't want to fight him. He's very tanky. He does lots of damage. He's got great reach, and it's just not going to be worth our time right now. Now, if there's an area to the left, room to the left right there that has the broadsword, but we're not using it. A lot of people use it to kill the dancer very, very early. Right now, we're not dealing with that, so. This enemy loses aggro eventually too. Kill this guy, open the chest, and there's another guy that's just sitting there. We're going to kill him too. Now what we want to do is time it to where we kill one of the dogs next to the barrels, because the dogs are the most annoying enemies in this area, besides the big dudes. But one firebomb when he's close to the barrels will take him out, and that's what we're planning on doing. Well, he comes at us. Now, when we have the fire bandit, when we infuse our bandit knife with fire, man, those dogs they're not going to be a problem for us anymore. Well, there you go. We got that guy. Well, pretty much all of his health is gone. There's still a couple big enemies down here. Now, there's a lot of good items down here, guys. There's an Estus shard that we want to get. The key, of course, to Grey Rat's cell. And a Titanite shard. So, we need to get all these items. Fire bombs will stun them for a short period there. Go in with a hit or two. Now, these guys hit pretty hard, I'm not going to lie. Don't underestimate. Now the stairs that you descended down, right here is the Titanite shard right there. The Estus shard's off to the right here. Definitely get that. Now we have to take out one more dog that's guarding the key. We're not going to mess with him. Dogs are insanely weak to fire, so when you hit a dog with a fire weapon of any kind, they will get on their backs and just flounder around a little bit, which gives you enough time to kill them. And when we get the bandit knife infused with fire, that is going to be their kryptonite. Now that we have the key, we can just run to Grey Rat and just homeward bone back to the Firelink Shrine. And that's what we're going to do. And while we're there, we're going to upgrade our Uchi Katana to +1. So you just want to drop down all the way again. And this time we're not going to fight the enemies. We're just going to run. Just run, run, run. There's the guy with the... I knew there was a firebomb throwing guy. He just didn't spawn at first in the beginning. Now these guys will follow you all the way to Grey Rat. So hurry up and exhaust his dialogue immediately. Get ready to homeward bone out. There they come. You'll get the blue tearstone ring. Now just get back to the shrine. Now that Grey Rat is in Firelink, we can buy the bandit knife and the light crossbow and some bolts to go with it. And we have 2 embers, but we're going to save our embers, guys. It's something I need to talk to you guys about. Embers are very important because they extend your life bar and they give you the ability to be invaded. So if you need to be invaded by an NPC, you'll need to be embered. Now, the bandit knife, definitely, we want that, and the crossbow, the light crossbow. And we'll buy some bolts. Well, I guess I didn't have any money. And this is where I'm going to use a few souls just because I wanted bolts. They're weak souls though, so the other big souls that we get later we'll use for the key to open the door to the tower. Now, there's no wood bolts in this one, I don't think. Standard bolts only, so they're the cheapest variety. Now, make sure you go back to Andre, because we want to get our Uchi Katana to +1. And we want to infuse the bandit knife with fire most definitely. And we will reinforce the Estus flask because we got that Estus shard. So we want to do all these things before leaving. I forgot about my Uchi Katana here. We have enough to go to +1. Now that we have fire in our inventory, it's going to be huge, guys. The dogs don't stand a chance, and neither do the pus of man. And we have the crossbow for some long range if we need it. But yeah, the pus of man will not stand a chance against a fire weapon. They stagger, and you can continue to hit them. And they'll go down very fast. So they can still hit very hard though. You can't underestimate them, but they'll go down very quick with the fire weapon. Fire in this game is going to be very useful, especially in the swamps. There's these slugs that are very weak to fire as well. I should have actually bought the torch while I was at the Handmaiden, because we're going to need that for a section later on, but we'll get it later. Now we're going to take on our first Pus of Man. As before, you can just knock this guy down. It's just trying to climb. Yeah, love the bandit knife. It's amazing in this game. And it does bleed too. So you want to run up and make sure he sees you. Get the fire bombs. You can use the fire bombs from a distance. Stagger him. Then you want to get behind him and just wail on him with your bandit knife. I tried to throw it for inexplicable reasons. There you go. See how he's very weak to fire, very weak. Now we need to get a crystal lizard because he has a gem that we need that's very important. I got very lucky here and actually got one as a drop, but don't depend on this. We got a raw gem here, and that's what we need. But there's a guaranteed raw gem with a crystal lizard here, and that's where you want to go. So once you kill the Pus of Man, the best way to kill this crystal lizard is just plunge attack him. Plunge attacks are back in this game, so use it to your advantage. Just sneak over here. He's over here somewhere. Oh yeah, right over here. So you just kind of just plunge attack him, and he's gone. Raw gem. We'll need the raw gem for the Uchi Katana, and we're going to do it before we take on the next boss, which is Vort of the Burial Valley. We're going to take him on next. Now there's a winged knight. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're very powerful enemies. They're all in Lothric Castle as well, but they're more dangerous than Lothric Castle. This is a tamer version of it right here. You can plunge attack him if you want and go after him, maybe bleed him out, but we're just going to avoid him for now. We want to unlock a shortcut and then get the next Pus of Man, and then we're going to go kill the boss. And then that'll be the episode. There's a rapier down here too. If you're you know, stealthy, you won't alert this guy, but yeah, he sees us now, so the embers are worth getting. I highly recommend you guys save up as many embers as you can for the dancer, and there's these 3 bosses that we're going to fight in a row. The dancer and Osiris and the champion Gundyr, the much harder version of Gundyr. And I recommend you guys make a backup save with all 10 of your, or more of your, I had 10 of them when I started the dancer, so you should have at least 10 embers before fighting the dancer. Now, I recommend make a backup save because it's going to make it a lot easier to kill the bosses with embers equipped. Your health bar will go up. And then just reload your save if you use all your embers and try it again until you're good at the bosses. The bosses are very hard, but after a while you become very good at them. If you fight, it's all about practice. But of course, I'm going to show you guys the best ways. I think the most important things to do to kill them. Now you're going to take a right here. And just go straight. Now you're going to get ambushed by a ton of enemies. Just run past all of them and activate the elevator. And just don't worry about it. This guy's on the lift with us. So this will take us back to the beginning area. Well, we haven't been down this area. This is the one that when we had the choice to go left or right, this will open up. This is the area where we went right. But that's a door there you couldn't open before. We're going to go ahead and rest at the bonfire and come back and get the next Pus of Man and get our last Titanite shard of this area. Ah, the dogs. They will stand no chance now with our bandit knife. They'll follow you all the way to the bonfire. They're very persistent. We won't be able to rest yet. But you see how you hit them once and they just get on their back and wail around, just flop around. Just keep wailing on them. Now, it's time to get the next Titanite shard. I like to come over to this hole here and just take this archer out. He'll interrupt you while you're fighting the other enemies down here. But they won't last long with a fire weapon here. Just bait an attack. Just hit them once. It's going to take one hit to put them on their backs, and then they're done for. Sitting ducks after that. I recommend taking both of them out before taking on the big dude, though. We're not going to invest any points into endurance for quite a while. Endurance really isn't that important in the early game right now. So at max, maybe you'll get 4 swings in a row. Right here, we just want to make sure the Pussy Man gets activated. And I kind of run away, and he'll destroy a lot of the enemies around him. But as before, just get behind him and just start wailing that bandit knife. He's practically dead now. And that's it. We get the next Titanite shard and an ember for our troubles. Well, I don't know if the ember is guaranteed or not, but the Titanite shard is. Now we can go to kill the boss of this area, and that's going to be the episode. The good news is, this boss is not hard. Especially with our Uchi Katana. But before we go, we have to upgrade it to a raw +2. So we're going to go back to Firelink Shrine and upgrade it to +2. Raw +2. Now, raw is great for the early game because raw does not require any stat investment. It gives you nothing but damage. Raw damage across the board. So it doesn't scale with anything, but it just gives you benefits once you upgrade it. So that's good. But we're not going to use it for the whole game because Chaos Blade will outclass it by a mile once we invest in Dex. This is going to be a Dex build primarily and a Strength build because we want to use our Cestus as well. We should be able to get our Uchi Katana to +2, but we don't have enough money, so we have to pop another soul or a couple. Souls like these are handy for a rainy day, like when you need just a little bit. Now, raw Uchi Katana +2 will make short work of the boss. You would think... Oh yeah, I forgot. Make sure you always check to make sure you've used all your Estus shards. Sometimes I forget to either burn an undead bone shard or use an Estus shard. It's very easy to forget, actually. Now, we want to go kill the boss. Back to the high wall of Lothric, and we're going to use the shortcut that we opened up. And then we're going to go ahead and kill the woman that will trigger the Dancer fight, but we're not going to fight Dancer just yet. She will be our third boss that we kill. So this next boss that we kill is our second boss, and then our third boss is going to be the Dancer. So we're going to kill her pretty soon, guys, but just not yet. We need to go into the Undead Settlement and get some items. We need to go into the swamps and get some items, and then we'll be ready. So maybe in a few videos we'll get to the Dancer. Here again, we're just going to ignore all the enemies and run past them. There's a particularly hard enemy here with red glowing eyes, a Lothric Knight. He'll do a lot of damage to you. Just don't even bother with him. But you want to hang her right here. Go down these stairs. and all the way to the door that you can't open. Just try to trigger it, and the cutscene will happen for the boss. Now, the boss will do a status effect called the Frostbite on you, but it's not really that dangerous right now. With our Uchikatana plus 2, we're going to take it out relatively fast. Well, raw Uchikatana plus 2, I should say. We're going to take this enemy out really fast, and we just want to get behind him again. Kind of messing up at the beginning here, but you can bleed. You can make him bleed. So after a certain amount of hits, they will bleed. You can see your frostbite meter is building up there. You can see we almost got him down to half. 3 or 4 hits, and you'll have to let your stamina bar regen. That's about all you're going to be able to do with the stamina that you have now. Second phase is triggering. Now, he's sometimes hard to avoid when he does his charge moves. Just like that. Like, you just got to get... When he starts breathing his ice breath, that's when you really go in for the kill. Because he just takes a while. And you'll possibly get another bleed out of him. But just bait an attack, get behind him, hit him a few times. He'll stagger after a certain amount. And he's really easy, guys. Just get behind him and use with the Uchikatana plus 2 raw, it's not going to be any problem taking this guy out. Now, I forgot to sit at the bonfire here. So don't do that. I don't even think I lit it. I went straight to the woman to kill her because we need to trigger the dancer fight later. I just wanted to go ahead and do it now to make my intentions known that yes, we are going to kill the dancer very early. Possibly, not in the next video, but possibly the third video we'll kill the dancer. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, we want to come up to this woman and just go to town on her. Very harsh thing to do, but we need to do it. Now, if you interact with the area behind the chair there, you will trigger the boss. So we're not going to trigger her yet. Let's just go ahead and go. Embered, though, you could take her right now probably with a raw 2, but I just want the vigor to be up higher before taking her on. You'll get the flag that you need to, or the banner flag you need to advance to the next area, which is the Undead Settlement, which contains our weapon, the whip, which we'll get in the next episode. And we'll meet our buddy Onion Bro again. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode. In the next episode, we're going to go through the Undead Settlement and the Road of Sacrifices. See you guys in the next one.